Hello and welcome to Mimi's Sketchbook. Today we're going to be doing this illustration inspired by this verse in Colossians. And I thought I would show you how I lay out a page a little bit. I have laid out the lettering in pencil. I've used a straight edge to help me get my lines correct and evenly spaced. And I just wanted to share with you that my little technique of how I put my letters in. I have a hard time with my handwriting. If I'm not real careful, I can barely read it. So I have to really take a lot of pains to make sure it can be read in the journal. So you can see I'm putting in my vertical lines first on each line and then going back in and putting in the curved or the horizontal lines. And that seems to be a trick that helps me to get it a little more uniform. I'm using a micron pen, the Pigma micron pen, a 01, and it's a very fine point. And it is very nice for sketching because the lines are very light and delicate. But for lettering, sometimes I have to go over it a couple of times and it looks a little scratchy. The lettering surely isn't perfect, but it's it's okay for me because this is my sketchbook and it is just for me to please me and to remember what I have learned today in my devotions. So I had made that list of all those bees that I should be working at and thought, well, why not illustrate it with bees? So I pulled up a reference on Pinterest, a couple of references on Pinterest with bees, and so I'm just sketching them in very lightly. Now this is something I really encourage everybody to do, is to draw your sketches lightly. Barely press down on your pencil. It's so much easier to erase when you've got it just the way you want it. It's also helpful if you use a pen that it might be like a 4H or a 6H. Those are a harder lead and it is lighter. It's not dark and heavy and bold and very easy to erase. And I'm just getting the essence of the bumblebees in here. I don't know what variety these are. Knowing exactly what they are and being very botanically accurate isn't what I'm after here. I am suggesting hard-working bumblebees that just work all day long, are so energetic, and kind of are a great example of the effort that can be put into their work that I should also be putting into my work. And so just that symbol of sticking to it, being energetic, doing a good job, never giving up, and just buzzing around all the flowers joyfully and thankfully for whenever they come up to a flower. So I've got that inked in with my micron pen and erase it all up. And now it's time to paint. And I'm using my Koi paint set. And I wanted you to see close-up of how I paint with the watercolors. you can see the water is just a little runny, so that when I touch the paint to another area of where it's wet, it it flows from one area to another. And that gives, I think, the look of the bumblebees a very soft, blurry, natural look. Remember, I'm not trying to get this perfect. I'm suggesting what a bumblebee looks like. Look at the droopy legs on this bumblebee. I absolutely love that look where their gravity just pulls it straight down to the ground. So I'm using just 3 colors here. I'm using yellow and the sienna brown and black. So it's very simple. And there's so many different kind of bumblebees in the yard. I guess you could make a bumblebee any color, any design, any pattern, and there just might be one that was actually like that. So I'm not putting in the wings yet. I'm just filling in the bodies, and I'm not even painting with my brush almost. I'm just touching the body of the bumblebee and then touching additional colors to it so they kind of flow through. So you can do this, don't overwork it. And another thing I would suggest is leave some white space on your little bees, so it looks like a little bit of a highlight. It gives it a little bit of sparkle. And even though they're very tiny, I like the look of it. And as I'm painting this, it looks like my bee is a little bit too short. So I'm adding on a little extension on the back, and that's okay, I can do that. So if you start with just a little wet area, you can touch it with a deeper color, and it just flows into the other color. And that gives a lovely effect. Here, this guy needs an extension too. So he's a little bit more proportionate. And as I'm painting, I am really enjoying putting in the sienna color, the warm brown. It just seems to warm up the whole picture. So I've gone back and kind of added a little more brown to the bees just to warm it up. And I like that look of the brown, so I'm really going to emphasize it here in the big letters. So you want repetition. You want something to tie the 2 pages together. At least I do. I like to work across an open page in my sketchbook and make it look so I have planned it to be there to be unity between the 2 pages. So the one is helping to illustrate the other. They're both supporting each other. And I want you to see, I'm going to give a close-up here of the wings. And I want you to see that where the wings are overlapping, I have made sure to leave some white. So there is the gray, and there's a space of white, and the more gray. And that helps to really bring some life to those wings, the dimension to them. And then I felt, well, I needed to give this little bee here on the left something to be capturing some pollen from. So I just put in a little type of flower, and just to give it a little more interest. And that is pretty much it. And don't forget to put the date in. We want to remember what was important, what you were reading and studying on this date. And I want to thank you for coming to Mimi's Sketchbook. I hope you give Bible journaling a try. Start small and find a way to do it so that you are comfortable and can complete it in one day.